This is really an interesting moment because we are going to look how to stream to YouTube from OBS. On your right here, you see the YouTube environment for streaming. And here around me, I am into the OBS software. And we are going now to launch live that streaming session. Something is happening, and yes, something happened. And yes, it's going live, and we see we are live on YouTube. I have now stopped the lamp, and we will discuss the YouTube part. The first thing to know is that at YouTube you have servers, RTMP servers. I won't enter into the details for this, but those servers, to access them, you need a key. So I admit that you have a channel like I have a Vision 6D, and of course we have a key to access our channel. And it's this key that I will need to transfer to OBS and to configure OBS with that key in order that OBS can stream to my channel. So you understand that this key is really important. If you share it with somebody, then that person can stream to your channel. Maybe it's something that you want, or maybe it's somebody that overlooked your shoulder and got the key, and you want to protect yourself from this. So be really cautious with what you do with the key and who has knowledges or can gain knowledges about that key. So how do we configure OBS for the streaming? For this, we need the key that is defined by YouTube, by your channel on YouTube. You see here, I'm into the stream settings of YouTube. Here you see that there is a default stream key that is defined for your channel. So what I will do is to go down here and copy it. I leave it invisible like that. Nobody knows the key of my channel, and now I can move to OBS. And into the settings of OBS, I will go into the stream settings, which are here. And you see that within the stream settings, the first thing is that we define the services. Which service do we want to stream to? You see that there is the possibility to stream to Twitch, to Facebook, and to Twitter, and many others. So for us, we leave it on YouTube with the RTMPS, which is the secured service, and we go to the primary YouTube server. Then there are two methods by which you can connect. The one I'm going to use is use the stream key, and later on I'm going to come back to connect with the account. So to use the stream key, I clicked on it, and you see that I had already a defined key here inside. I'm just removing it, and with Control V, I can add the one I just copied. Of course, you can check it with show. I won't do that. I'm sure that you understand why. And now here, there would be a possibility to get the stream key. We'll come back to this. It's really a nice way to do it too. So now I apply this, I can say OK, and what is left to us, of course, it's to test it. So I'm going to start the stream, and you see that we are going now, the screen has become black, so we cut the stream, but YouTube is always waiting for some flow on this server. So as soon as I started the stream, YouTube was ready, and now I'm live again. I stop the stream on the OBS side, and we can wait that YouTube notices that there is no more information coming to the stream, but I'm going to end the stream by myself. YouTube is asking me whether I really want to end that stream, to which I'm going to say yes, end it. And you see that I could from now on edit what is the flow or in my case, I just want to dismiss it. On the YouTube side, there is a chat which is open here, so you can write a welcome message like that people know that they can start to interact with you. So how did I get in YouTube in that part? For this, I need to go back to YouTube Studio. And you see here up, we have symbols for going live, or you can choose to create and go live. And we see that we've come exactly to the same place. So this is the way to go. You go to your channel, YouTube Studio, and then go to create and go live. Now, concerning the settings into OBS, I'll open the settings again, and we see that we have the possibility to define the stream. It's what I used before with you. And we'll go and look into the output. First of all, this window has two modes. One is simple, and you will see that there is an advanced one, which I won't use now. For the streaming, you see that one of the important parameters, which is here, is the video bitrate. This depends heavily on your line and on the total connection you will have or you have up to the servers at YouTube. Here is the value by default. It's 2500 kilobits per second. This corresponds to a kind of image which is a 720p. Of course, that if you want to stream 1080p or 2K or 4K, you will need to increase that bit rate. Now, after that, there is the encoder possibility. Depending on your graphical cards, you might have other encoders than what I have here. In my case, I have an NVIDIA card, so I'm using the hardware NVNC, but you could use the software one. For the audio, 160 kilobit per second is also what is defined by default. And then we have the quality of the image. Of course, that if you have latency issues, you could go and choose something like low latency on quality, or low latency over performance. So this again, there isn't one way to do it. What you need to do is to test. And it's not said also that what works one day will work the next day. So with that, you need to pay attention to your computer, the hardware quality, memory, speed of the CPU. Hard disk, SSD disks are better. And of course, depending on the line you have and on the congestions or internet possibilities. So you might have days when it works really well and some days where it works a bit less well as you would like to have it work. So in my case, you saw that with the bitrate of 2500 kilobits per second, I could really transmit my flow. So with this, I think that you can do your first test. When you are streaming, you might also, like me, do the recording of your stream. It's what I'm using for my tutorials, for example, when I give sessions online. For that, there is one first thing to know. It's where will your file, your recorded files, be located. For me, it's in my path in the video folder. There is an important point, which is the recording format of those files. You see that for me, it's MP4. MP4, I like to record my tutorials in that way. There is another format that we find here, which is MKV. You might have MKV selected. The advantage of the MKV file format, which is specific to OBS, it's in case that during your streaming there is an issue on the line, a crash somewhere, a blockage somewhere. In this case, with the MKV format, all your file will be saved. In the case, for me, of MP4, I'm going to lose all the parts of my file. So MP4 is useful for me when I do 1-2 minutes recordings, but for streaming, it's way better to have MKV. MKV files, they can always be later on converted to MP4 files. Let's come back to the theme of the bitrate. The bitrate depends on your line, but it first of all depends on the resolution of your screen, the resolution of your camera. I've taken the YouTube help page here, and on this page you can see that if you want to broadcast or stream 700p, which is 1280 in horizontal size by 720 vertical at 30 frames per second, you will need a bitrate of 1500 kilobit per second up to 4000. If now you take 60 frames per second, you will need from 2250 up to already 6000 kilobits per second on your line. Those variations, they depend on the compression algorithm, and this depends on the changes of images that you have, changes in the information. To give you some more illustration, 1080p, we see that it's from 3000 kilobits per second up to 6000 kilobits per second for 30 frames per second. And if we want the same 30 frames per second but in 4K, at that time we will need 13,000 kilobits per second up to 34,000 kilobits per second. So this means that we really need to have some bandwidth in our lines, and this explains that sometimes we get some congestions in the network and that our flow is reduced or blocked. I have here a site that can measure your performances, the bitrate. It's nperf.com. So we'll go and launch the test. So we see that my line is around 35 megabits per second, which is really excellent. And now we have the upload measure, which is really what I need when I'm streaming. And we see that it's around 14 megabits per second. We've gone through the measure points that we need, that you are now able to stream to do your tests. For me, it's a pleasure to exchange that kind of information with you, and I hope to see you soon for other modules. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, and for me, it's a real pleasure. See you soon. Bye-bye.